Shalom. Kol Holo Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Bahashem Rahahakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the globe. My name is Barad DeBall, coming to you from the GMS campus, Indianapolis. And to all those listening and learning, to you, I say Shalom. Especially to you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians that make up the 12 tribes.
Right, I wasn't a golfer.
Today, as you can see, I've seen this video before. Very interesting perspective from Gilbert Arenas on being miserable despite over 100 million net worth and retiring at 32. And so I'm just going to touch on a few points that he made, and just some, and again, this is the spiritual thoughts in season, out of season. And one thing that he stated is that, he worked since he was the age of 10, which, they said was fairly young, but he was 32 when he retired. So from the age of 10 to the time he was 32, all he did was eat, think, breathe, lived basketball. So that is 22 years of his life, where he mentioned that he woke up in the morning, he was in the gym, he went to school, was in the gym, played basketball, played AAU or a different sport. Played different leagues, all the way up to college, and then going into the NBA. And in that season, pretty much summertime, working out, or times where he kind of let his hair down just a bit, but mainly when the season was about to come right into play. And during the season, he pretty much dedicated his full time to his craft. And of course, if anyone knows Gilbert Arenas and have seen him, would pretty much know, they called him Agent Zero, but he was a phenomenal basketball player. And of course, he has other, conversations where he's on podcasts and he gives his expertise on certain things. And of course, because of his skill set and his level, he pretty much can talk the talk. Okay. So, but he mentioned when he retired, then, a lot of things has changed. And of course, I'm going to get some scriptures. When he retired, a lot of things changed. He found himself still going through the motions as if he was going in the season, trying to utilize his time, the time in which he would be practicing and things like that. And he would do it as far as like taking trips. He would drive, hour, 2 hours one way and drive another hour, 2 hours one way, another way. Said he would do it for, he was doing that for like a whole year or so. And of course, he had all this money, and he's like, well, with all this money you have, you've done a lot, you've seen a lot, so it gets boring. And of course, then he says, he then starts to try to figure out, many players go through it. They try to figure out, since they've lived basketball all their lives, what is their purpose? And so through all of that, it sparked, the scriptures, being instant in season and out of season, because the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, starting with the elect, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, has given us a purpose. And our true purpose and profession, starting with those who teach, are out in the highways and the byways, truly and sincerely, our profession is the scriptures, is prophecy, the prophets. And so I want to start with this where for she is thy life. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 4. The point is in 13, but I'm going to read up just a bit. And it says, verse 10, he says, "Hear, O my son, and receive my sayings, and the years of thy life shall be many. I have taught thee in the way of wisdom. I have led thee in right paths." So the Lord, through the point, since the beginning, he had an elect group that would have this knowledge and this understanding. He also had a group of men who would actually be the teachers of the children of Israel through all points of time in history. And so in these last days, he's risen up those men, starting with the head apostles of GMS and the bishops and elders and those that teach the likewise doctrine. He says, "When thou goest," verse 12, "thy steps shall not be straitened, and when thou runnest, thou shalt not stumble. Take fast hold of instruction, let her not go, keep her, for she is thy life." So like he lived basketball and it was his life. This is when we come into this knowledge, this understanding, the Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, we've come into a vow to make this truth, this knowledge in which Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai has given us our life. Let me get this with Moses. Choose life. This is Deuteronomy chapter 30 verses. Let's start at 15. It says, "See, I have set before thee this day life and good, and death and evil. And that I command." Let me go up one. Salakia. 30. Let's see. Okay. Yep. Verse 16. He says, "That I have commanded thee this day to love the Lord thy power, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments and his statutes and his judgments, that thou mayest live and multiply." See, one thing that he mentioned is that once his career was over, then everything else stopped. He said many of the people, many players who had wives had to then go and, they had to transition, to the routine of their family, because the family was so used to, him being on the road, 82 games, and then if they are in the playoffs, more. And then they have in the summer where they had to work out, their summer workouts in the spring and different points in time, dealing with agents. And if they're top elites, now they have, commercials and other things that they have going on, businesses and things that they have to handle, and if they go into the Olympics, so their time was always catered to the system in which of basketball. Okay. And so another reason why we say no matter what level you are on in this system, we all are slaves, because their whole life was controlled. It's even to the point, and this is just a side note, the people that they can hang around, the places in which they can go, clothes, the way they could even speak. They couldn't say certain things. All of that was controlled by, the system. Okay. And so they would get fined and things like that if they acted out of character. And so it says, but here in the spirit of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, he has rules that we abide by, and there's judgments that come along with it. However, we're multiplying, because once everything was done, now they have to figure out ways to make more money. They have to figure out a new set of friends. He said that the mass majority of NBA players, or I should say mass majorities, but he said that the divorce levels increase among the NBA players after the first 4 years, like within the first 4 years, because all they knew was basketball, and now they have to come and be a husband and trying to figure that thing out. Now, reading the second part, it says, that thou mayest live and multiply, and the Lord thy power shall bless thee in the land whither thou goest to possess it. Okay, so just wanted to make that point because this is our life, and the Lord, as long as we are in this ministry, we are continuously considered to have to do this work. All right. And this is and he's given us examples. Look at our apostles, the apostles of GMS. They've been in here 35 to 40 plus years, and they have yet to put down the plow, and they continue to teach, and they continuously are learning at the same time. And in their increase and their learning, those that came after them, of course, everyone is following the footsteps. And this is all through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. This is the book of Timothy, 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 2. It says, preach the word, be instant in season and out of season, reproof, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. So the in season and out of season, there is no end to this life with Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And it's only through the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai that we are in this thing, and he is called. Because like I said, many are called, but few are chosen. And until he returns, we continue on teaching, preaching, exhorting, and rebuking until he say, through the spirit of Yahweh, the Father, tells Yahushai that it's all done, that it's finished. Right? Example in Acts, where he says, where the apostles look to Yahushai, he says, would thou at this time restore the kingdom unto Israel? And Yahushai told them, he said, is not yet the time. He said, you are going to be preaching, in the utmost parts of the earth. So this thing was going to continue even further. And this is where we are now in these last times. We're in the last moments in which Yahushai had actually told the apostles that we would actually be. So one more script, we'll get another scripture. This is the book of Hebrews chapter 10, verse 23. He says, let us hold fast the profession of our faith without wavering. For he is faithful that promised. So we came into this, we made a vow, and the Lord, he's made promises. Of course, one of those is that, we're going to receive the kingdom. We're going to be within the kingdom and have be everlasting, everlasting bodies, and it'll be under his rule. And so it says, and let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works. So of course, as long as we have breath in our body, we continue to do this work, and we're provoking one another to continue on in the faith. Whereas once you're in athletes retire, phone calls actually stop of certain agents and certain people that you may have been around, friends, social circles, and things like that. Unless you're like a top elite athlete, sometimes those things still continue. But like he even mentioned, he said some of athletes, they feel the itch so much of being amongst the basketball and in the arenas and just that energy that that's how you see a lot of them go back to being announcers, or you see them coaching and different things, because they can't get away from it, because that's all they've known. It says, and let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works, not forsaking the assembly of ourselves together, as the manner of some is. Now, of course, we know that this is going into, just as far as this teaching and the brotherhoods and different camps and things like that. But to just show how the Lord, you can relate this to how people in the world are. All right. They stop provoking each other to continue to go to practice or helping them to transition out, of basketball, right? It says, as manner of some is, but exhort one another, and so much the more as ye see the day approaching. And so, of course, some people, you can get tired. We're in this flesh. There be times in which the devils will want to play on your mind, and certain things come upon you to want to take a moment off. But there's an exceeding great reward, greater than what we are going through. So speaking to myself first and foremost, to put ourselves in the best position that we could actually do the work. And again, like how this one came about, I was just flipping through my phone, and it came up, and the Lord, blessed me through the Spirit with an idea. And so, call lo Yabashim Al Shai. And so here's the last scripture. Let me see that I got that in Deuteronomy, got that in Timothy. So we'll end with this last scripture. This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 6, verses 10 and 2. It says, For the most high is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor of love. See, right now, just since we're talking NBA, you have these other players who come in, and you got people who don't know the lifestyle, and a lot of information is being brought out, which, we're not going to go in deep into that, but remember, you notice that there's a lot of talk of Michael Jordan. He made a huge impact on the NBA, on the game. But there's been players who came before him that are and made a huge impact on the game, and they're rarely mentioned. Then you talk about people who are like the greatest of all time and things of that. And then you have LeBron. But there's many players who won championships, who actually made a huge impact, who really played the game very well, and yet their memory to some degree has faded. You have some, they bring them back, but for the most part, it's out with the old and in with the new with this system. Whereas with Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, those that he's chosen and those of the elect, these are the ones that's going to have that everlasting glory. Those that he's chosen and has stuck it out, from the time they were called. Like I said, many are called, but few is chosen. And then he also said that he that endureth until the end, the same shall be saved. And so there's going to be a great glory that's going to be received by those. And again, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai has not forgotten your labor and your love and the work that you've done for this ministry. Whereas in the NBA and other type of professions, you may pass away and they give you a quick honor, but they continue on. All right. And this thing is forever. And it says, which ye have shewed toward his name, and that ye have ministered to the saints and do minister. And who are the saints? The children of Israel. Okay. So we've been called into this ministry to do a marvelous work. And there's a great reward to come for doing so. It says, and we desire that every one of you do show the same diligence to the full assurance of hope unto the end. Because, again, we're going to teach, and we're going to practice what we're also teaching. Scripture that always come to mind, it says, for the path of the just is as a shining light that shineth more and more into the perfect day. Continuously growing in this thing, continuously teaching. And until the end, until Yahweh Shai returns. It says that ye be not slothful, but followers of them who through faith and patience inherit the promises. So we're continuously being diligent, though we do get tired, we do get weary, we are in this flesh, but we continue to do this work. And it's another thing that came to mind, it just came back, is that our works do follow. Whereas people pass away, like Kobe Bryant, and they speak of Kobe, but but when the kingdom come, his stats and that 81 and all of that, that's not going to be praised. When it comes down to those who were teaching this truth and the things that they had to endure for this truth, Yahweh Shai, the things he's endured for this truth, and for his people, these things are going to be praised, and those who passed on, says they works follow. We're going to get that one, and then we'll end. Hopefully this is understood. It's the book of this is the book of Revelation, chapter 14, verse 13. It says, "And I heard a voice from heaven saying unto them, Write, blessed are the dead which died in the Lord from henceforth." So those who did the work in Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, those that were committed themselves, he's going to tell you, it's blessed. Yea, saith the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them. So if we happen to pass on this side, the works, that they've done on this side for Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, it's going to follow them on into the kingdom. And the good work is teaching, is doing this, is abiding in this truth. And of course, if you're a prophet of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, or if you're not a prophet, maybe a lady or a hopeful elect lady, and again, a hopeful prophet. Of course, we're hopeful that we are those men, but a hopeful elect man or woman, like it tells us, if you minister unto the prophets, give a cup of cold water, you shall receive a prophet's reward. And we know that reward is salvation. And of course, if you happen to pass on, but yet you were aiding in the ministry, your works will also follow. The Lord, again, is not unrighteous, when it comes down to your work toward the ministry, and he's going to remember all those things. So I hope that this lesson was edifying, uplifting, exhorting of some sort to the elect body of true believers. Before I end, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, B'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, B'Hashem, Rahahakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the globe. Well, next time, all those listening and learning to you, I say, Shalom.